Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to iQuanta Patna. My name is Ajay Kumar, and I'm associated with the VARC section here at iQuanta Patna. Let me give you a snapshot of my credentials. I have a master's degree in business administration from the State University of New York at Albany, coupled with 15 years of corporate experience. I also have 6 years experience in teaching English for competitive exams. Now, today, we will discuss verbal ability and some of its components. So, let's begin. Okay, the first one here is the odd one out. Here we have, basically in odd one out, you have 5 sentences, out of which 4 sentences come together to make up a paragraph, and they are coherent, lucid. That means easy to understand. उनको आराम से समझा जा सकता है. अगर वो 4 sentences साथ में आएंगे तो paragraph का एक fluid explanation होगा, एक उसका मतलब निकलेगा. जो 5वां sentence होगा, that is the odd one, that does not fit in that paragraph. So we have to find out which sentence is the odd one, which can be discarded in order to make the paragraph more coherent, that is easy to understand. आसानी से जिसको समझा जा सके. So here we have 5 sentences, 5 jumbled up sentences labeled 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 related to the topic are given below. 4 of them can be put together in form of a coherent paragraph. Identify the odd sentence and key in the number of the sentences as your answer. Now, number 1. Although hard skills have traditionally ruled the roost, some companies are moving away from choosing prospective hires based on technical abilities alone. So what's saying that earlier, hard skills. What are hard skills? Now, let me say, we'll take this one and we'll drag it here so that I can mark certain things. Now, here, we are talking about hard skills. Hard skills are something technical that can be taught, जो पढ़ाया जा सके, जो technical knowledge होता है, जो studies होती हैं. So basically, hard skills generally used to be on the top. People used to look for candidates who had good knowledge of hard skills, जो अच्छी तरह से hard skills में बहुत proficient होते हैं. तो उनके लिए, और लेकिन some companies are moving away from that, moving away from choosing perspective based on technical abilities. That is the hard skill. So basically what the companies are trying to do, they are looking for something more. So that's 1. Number 2, companies are shaking off the old definition of an ideal candidate and ditching the idea of looking for the singularly perfect candidate altogether. Now here they are just talking about the old definition. They are not talking about hard skills or soft skills or what is needed or what they are looking for. क्या उनको चाहिए, वो नहीं बात कर रहे हैं. वो कह रहे हैं कि भाई पुराना definition जो था एक ideal candidate का, उसको छोड़ के now they are looking, मतलब वो जो perfect candidate वो समझते थे पहले के हिसाब से. So now they are ditching that idea. That means उसको अब हटा रहे हैं. They are going towards something new. Number 3, now some job descriptions are frequently asking for candidates to demonstrate soft skills such as leadership or teamwork. Now, some companies are asking for candidates who have soft skill knowledge, or basically soft skill. What soft skills are? They are personality traits. They are something that a person has inherent, that the person develops, not by reading a book or by taking a course. But soft skills are something that you develop in your personality, inculcate that in your personality, अपने personality में आप लाते हैं. Like leadership. Leadership is a soft skill. Teamwork. Nobody teaches you in the book like, okay, what is teamwork and, how it can be done. Precisely that they cannot make you a better team player, but you inculcate that habit. You bring it in yourself and you become a team player. You become a leader. You are a good communicator. You also have time management skills. You manage your time effectively, you take care of the projects on time. So that kind of thing, those are soft skills. Now, number 4, that's not to say that practical know-how is no longer required. Some jobs still call for highly specific expertise. Now they are comparing that, okay, it's not that always soft skills are required. Sometimes hard skills are still, in demand. और वो कभी-कभी उनकी भी जरूरत पड़ती है, लेकिन अब overall the companies are going towards a wider spectrum. जो soft skills है, hard skills है, साथ में soft skills हो, that kind of thing. So now the 5th one, the move towards prioritizing soft skills is a natural response to 3 years of pandemic, says a senior recruiter at Cellular FSB. Now here also they are talking about soft skills, right? The move towards prioritizing. Prioritizing is what you want to do first, which is more important. कौन सी चीज ज़्यादा ज़रूरी हो जाती है? So they are prioritizing soft skills. I mean, towards prioritizing soft skills. So basically, this section is talking about, this paragraph, if we make it up, it's talking about hard skills and soft skills, but then we have to find the odd one out, the one that does not fit in. So in this case, if you see, number 2 is not talking about the skills, it's talking about, old definition of an ideal candidate and ditching the idea of looking for a singularly perfect candidate altogether. But they are not talking about the skill sets. They are not talking about hard skills or soft skills. So the answer would be number 2. Okay, so now let's move on. All right, now we come to the second part, that is parajumbles. Parajumbles, basically, they are jumbled paragraphs. They are not in sequence. There's no arrangement as to, which one is first, second, third, fourth. It's randomly arranged, and that basically does not provide the information in a fluid way, in a fluid manner. That the information is hard to understand if you just keep the sentence like that. So we have to arrange the sentences in a certain sequence, in certain order. एक तरीके से उनको हम arrange करेंगे जिससे कि information flow बहुत आसान होगा, समझने में आसानी होगी. So let's look at this. Let me read the first instruction there. The 4 sentences labeled 1, 2, 3, and 4 given below, when properly sequenced, would yield means to bring out, to give, yield a coherent, that is easy to understand, coherent paragraph. Decide on the proper sequencing, as I said, arranging it in a way, in an order of the sentences, and key in the sequence of the 4 numbers as your answer. So you have to basically answer it like, suppose 2 is number 1, then 4, then 3, and 1, then 2, 4, 3, 1 will be your answer, something like that. So now look at this, the arguments here. First, I'll read it out to you. Veena Sahajwala, a material scientist at the University of New South Wales, believes there is a new way of solving this problem. Now, if you look here, it says this problem. But we don't know what the problem is, because this problem, what is the problem? The first sentence does not explain the problem. It just says there's a way to solve this problem. So this is ruled out. This cannot start the paragraph. This cannot be the first sentence. Now, second one, her vision is for automated drones and robots to pick out components, put them into a small furnace, and smelt them at specific temperatures to extract the metals one by one before they are sent off to manufacturers for reuse. Now, she's talking about automated drones and robots. Now, it's the technology is developing every day, so we have drones and robots. They can pick those components and put them into a small furnace and smelt them. Smelting is basically applying heat to a, say, group of metals that are entangled together. एक साथ बहुत सारे metal हैं, they are entangled. So smelting, what it does, it provides heat, and every metal has a different melting point. So as the metal melts, it's extracted. So when you keep heating it, all the metals slowly and gradually, they reach the melting point and they are extracted. And then later on, those metals are sent to the manufacturers for reuse, recycling, which is very common, and we should recycle because that saves our planet. The plastics, if they go waste and they are not recycled, then obviously that they'll hurt the environment, they'll hurt the soil. So it'll be difficult for us to survive if this grows, bigger. This problem grows bigger. Number 3. So this cannot be, because see, here you have proper noun, and then here you have possessive pronoun, her vision. So basically these two cannot be, they cannot start the paragraph. These two cannot be the first sentence. And this one, second one will always follow first one, because here it's talking about the material scientists first. So पहले material scientists के बारे में पहले बात कर रहे हैं, उसके बाद उनके vision के बारे में कि वो क्या सोचती हैं. Now third one, e-waste contains huge quantities of valuable metals, ceramics and plastics that could be salvaged and recycled, although currently not enough of it is. Now, e-waste can be salvaged. Salvage बचाना जिसको कहते हैं, जिसको बचा लेना, destroy होने से पहले बचा लेना. तो salvage, as you say, salvaged, that is the meaning, that can be saved from destruction. So ceramics, plastics and metals, they can be salvaged and recycled, although currently not enough of it is. That means we are not doing enough recycling. We are not actually taking out metals from the waste that is around us. Number 4, she plans to build micro factories that can tease apart the tangle of materials in mobile phones, computers, and other e-waste. So now she's talking about recycling, but then she's also talking about the development or building of micro factories that can tease apart, that is slowly, basically take out the metals or materials from the junk that we have or the waste we have, and then that can be used, reused. And those wastes come from mobile phones, computers, and other e-waste. E-waste is electronic waste. So when we are talking about e-waste, you have to know we are talking about electronic waste. So here, after looking at all these, we can figure out that first, second, and third basically will come after the first sentence. So the first sentence would be, this will be number 1. That is, e-waste contains huge quantities of valuable metals and ceramics and plastics. So that one will be number 1. Number 2, we'll go back to the first one, where we are talking about that material scientist, because after that we'll be talking about her vision and what she wants to do. So this will be number 2. Now we will be talking about, okay, what will happen now once how this problem of e-waste. So how will we tackle, so her vision, and then she plans to build factories. So basically, what happens? This one, building factories and teasing apart the tangle of material. So first we'll have to see, this one will be first, this one will be second, then here we'll be talking about micro factories. So this will be number 3. And finally, the smelting and everything together and going to the manufacturer, this will be number 4. So your answer here will be 3, 1, 4, 2. 3, 1, 4, 2. Third becomes the first sentence. one, second becomes first sentence becomes the second sentence. Fourth one, her plan to build micro factories, that becomes number 3, and number 2 becomes number 4. So this will be your answer. So let's move on to the next one. We'll close this. We go here. Okay. Here also we are talking about parajumbles. Again, we have the jumbled sentences. They are not in a sequence. They don't have a proper order, and our task is to put them in order to make sense, to get the information that is required, and in a very simple way so that everybody can understand that. Now, it's the same instruction, like 4 sentences, and you have to arrange them in a certain order. So let's go back to the first sentence here. Centuries later, formal learning is still mostly based on reading, even with the widespread use of other possible education affecting technologies such as film, radio, and television. So what we are talking here is that formal learning that involves reading, that's based on reading, though we have different ways of learning, film, radio, television, but it's basically based on reading. So it's talking about reading here, this part. So, all right, let me bring it here. Yes. So we are talking about reading. So that's the basis of learning knowledge. To gain knowledge, you read. That's what it's saying. Number 2, one of the immediate and recognizable impact of the printing press was on how people learned. In the scribal culture, it primarily involved listening. So memorization was paramount. Now here we have a few words that you should know. They're interesting words. So what's the impact of printing press? It is talking about the impact of printing press, and what was the impact on the people, right? And how people learn. Now in the second part it's saying, in the scribal culture, scribe is a writer. So basically scribal culture, where some people used to write, and that information was provided to people and they had to listen. And in order to keep that in their mind, they had to memorize it. याद कर लेना पड़ता था. तो जो information provide किया जाता था, लोगों को सुनना पड़ता था और उसको memorize करना पड़ता था. Because everybody did not have reading material and something like that they could read, or they were not that capable at that time. So it was listening that was doing the trick and was providing knowledge to people, and they had to retain it in their mind. Mind में रखना पड़ता था जो उन्होंने सुना. So the part was listening and memorization. The first one, if you remember, we talked about reading. Now number 3, the transformation of learners from listeners to readers. As you see, listeners to readers was a complex social and cultural phenomena. Phenomenon is something that happens in nature or in society. Something happens, cultural phenomena that occurs. And it was not until the industrial era that the concept of universal literacy took root. So during the industrial era, the concept of literacy, that is, people being literate all over the place, and they were trying to learn, they were trying to gain knowledge. That was during the industrial era that it took root. Now, the fourth one, the printing press, shifted the learning process as listening and memorization gradually gave way to reading. Learning no longer required the presence of a mentor, like the scribe we were talking about. It could be done privately. So here we are again talking about printing press, and we are talking about reading, and those things like listening and memorization were not required any longer. So what do we have here? which one would be first? The one that will be first would be, we are talking about first about printing press here, so we'll pick this one as the first sentence. One of the immediate recognizable impact of the printing press was on how people learned. In the scribal culture, it primarily involved listening or memorization. So memorization was paramount. And now paramount here word, this word is a nice word. It means supreme, most important, most significant, सबसे जरूरी. So याद करना बहुत जरूरी था उस समय, क्योंकि आप सुनते थे, आप पढ़ते नहीं थे, आप सुनते थे, और उसके बाद उसको अपने पास रखने के लिए उस नॉलेज को आपको याद करना पड़ता था. So that will be the first one. Now, as we were talking about printing press here, we'll continue with that here in number 4. You see, number 4, printing press shifted. So it's a continuation of 2. Sentence number 2, and then the continuation is there. The printing press shifted the learning process as listening and memorization gradually gave way to reading, and learning no longer required the presence of a mentor. Mentor is somebody who gives you instructions or teaches you. It could be done privately, so people could do it on their own. So here, first is 2, then second is 4. Third, we'll be talking about the transition. You know, here the transition. There's the change from listeners to readers, where listeners started becoming readers. They started reading, learning while they were reading. So this will be the third one. And fourth one is, we are talking about formal learning centuries later. So in a chronological order, chronological, that is time-based order, we are talking about centuries later, which will obviously come later. बाद में ही आएगा, जब हम centuries के बाद की बात कर रहे हैं, तो ये बाद में आएगा. So here we have number 2 as your first one. Number 2 will be the first sentence. Number 4, a continuation of the second, is 4. Then we are talking about the transformation from listener to reader. That will be number 3. And then last one, centuries later. So if we look at the timeline, centuries later, obviously they are talking about a time much later than this one. So centuries later, that will be the 4th sentence. So this will be your answer. Now, we'll move to a next section. Move to the next section here. Close this. 1 second. And we move to the next section. This is not parajumbles, but it is the paragraph summary. We have a paragraph, and we have been given 4 options as summary of this paragraph. We have to pick one, the one that could explain the main idea of this passage. So let's begin. I'll read the instruction. The passage given below is followed by 4 alternative summaries. Choose the option that best captures the essence of the passage. Essence, crux, nichod, something that you can write in short and that will explain the passage. So basically, we have to find the essence. Now, let's go on with the paragraph. People spontaneously create counterfactual alternatives. Now, counterfactual, again, we'll have to use the pen here. All right, I'll explain the words to you so that you have a better understanding of what they're saying. So, now counterfactual. Counterfactual, basically something that is anything other than the fact, the reality. Counter, as we say in, say, movement, when we move something around, like in a circle or something, or you say clockwise or counterclockwise, that means opposite of clockwise. So here, factual, that is something that's real, and then we have this word counterfactual, that counters the fact. So it is something that is not true. So people spontaneously create counterfactual alternatives to reality when they think if only or what if, and imagine how the past could have been different. Now, here, many people spontaneously, that is not in a planned way, but just automatically that happens. Suddenly, people create their own notion against the fact, against the reality. That is something that is what they think is something that is not real, that is against the reality. But they create that for their own, thinking process. When they think, if only, like, agar aisa hua hota, and what if, क्या ऐसा अगर क्या होता ऐसा होता तो फिर जो रिजल्ट था वो ऐसा होता. So accordingly they are managing their thought process by assuming certain things. कुछ चीजों को वो assume करके मान के कि नहीं ऐसा अगर ऐसा होता तो ये रिजल्ट ऐसा होता, अगर ये हुआ होता तो रिजल्ट दूसरा होता. So they are trying to pacify themselves by creating their own ideas, which are not facts. Mind you, they are actually, they're kind of a fiction. There's just, their thought process is bringing these ideas into their brain, and they are trying to create situations. The mind computes counterfactuals for many reasons. Counterfactuals explain the past and prepare for the future. They implicate various relations, including casual ones, and they affect intentions and decisions. So basically what it's saying is this idea or the thought, which is not true, this is not fact, it gives them, they basically think about other people, casual relations, and they blame them and they say, okay, no implications. They say, okay, what they did or what happened, So they are trying to manipulate that whatever happened in the past by thinking that, okay, that thing that happened was not true. Something else was there that made that happen. Maybe people were involved or, they planned it or whatever it is. So basically they are implicating various relations in casual ones and they affect intentions and decisions. And later on, based on these thoughts, they have certain intentions or they make decisions, which is not right because that's not based on fact. So there's no fact involved. It's just, they are just drumming up some thought inside their brain and they are trying to manipulate it to pacify themselves, and then what if, and all those questions, the conditions they put, if this happened then this could have happened, if that happened, that kind of thing. So basically it's they are trying to create their own thought process. Now they modulate emotions. That means they control the emotions and they relate that person to those emotions, such as regret and relief, and they support moral judgment, such as blame. So here, basically, they are carrying those emotions that provide certain outcomes, like regret, relief, and then they support the moral judgment that internally, morally, नैतिक रूप में आप क्या करते हैं, ब्लेम करते हैं, वो जजमेंट आपका है किसको, सच एज ब्लेम, आप किसको ब्लेम करते हैं. The ability to create counterfactuals develops throughout childhood and contributes to reasoning about other people's beliefs, including their false beliefs. So what it's saying is when the ability to create this vision or an idea in their brain that they have, which is not true, or that's false, that develops throughout childhood. So it begins from a very early stage. It's not like, suddenly that comes. It gradually, based on the circumstances and based on the actions of people and based on what the person is thinking and trying to blame others instead of himself or herself. So it happens, it starts develops throughout childhood and contributes to reasoning about other people's beliefs. Now, then you start analyzing other people and their beliefs, what they think, and how they act, and what is basically what's making them act in a certain way, and including their false beliefs. So they also have this thing, their own thing that they believe in, but eventually this is all made up. It is not fact. It is just part of their mind, and that's brewing this thing inside and trying to justify things in their lives. Now, let's look at the summaries. A, people create counterfactual alternatives to reality for various reasons, including reasoning about other people's beliefs. That's one, where they create counterfactual alternatives, that is something other than reality. They create their own thinking and own beliefs, which obviously are made up in their brain. Two, alternatives to reality for various reasons, such as reasoning about other people's beliefs. That means why the other person believes in a certain way, or thinks about doing other things in a particular way. So basically, it gives you an idea. You have your own reasoning as to why they are doing this, or what is the belief that they have. Now, second one, counterfactual thinking helps to reverse past and future actions and reason out false beliefs. So basically, when you create your own ideas, your own thinking, so whatever in the past, whatever you have in the past, and whatever you'll be doing in the future, they basically alter that, change that, उसको बदल देते हैं. वो अपने सोच से पुराने समय में जो हुआ था, उसको अपने बिलीफ से उसको गलत साबित कर देते कि नहीं ये दिस इज नॉट राइट, एंड आगे जो करना है उसके लिए भी it basically gives them a different idea, or their actions change according to that false belief. Okay, number 3, counterfactual alternatives to reality are created for a variety of reasons and is part of one's developmental process. So it's talking about the same thing. There could be many reasons for creating this counterfactual alternative, or the thinking that they have, which spontaneously they create. And obviously this comes from right from their childhood. They have been doing this, and it has become a part of their habit of blaming others, or analyzing, or reasoning other people, or reasoning with other people in a different way. So basically it's all the false thoughts or ideas that create a different situation as to how the person should act, or whatever happened in the past also. They analyze it in a different way, and they do not reckon what really happened, but they believe in what they think happened. So that is the main idea here. And counterfactual help people to prepare for the future by understanding intentions and making decisions. This is what it says about the future. So this is just, fourth one is the one part of it, but that cannot be the summary. People create counterfactual alternatives. This is a statement that, okay, they are saying for various reasons, and they are talking about people's beliefs. Now, this one thinks like counterfactual thinking helps to reverse past and future actions and reason for. This is also one of those attributes of counterfactual alternatives. So the best answer would be C. Counterfactual alternatives to reality are created for a variety of reasons. So this is summing up whatever reason there is. जो भी हो सकता है, किसी भी कारण से ये जो thought process है, जो कि fact नहीं है, ये आ सकता है, and is part of one's developmental process. Developmental process, like as it's mentioned here, childhood, develops throughout childhood. So it's also integrating the the childhood and everything that followed later on, and how the person started thinking and analyzing things. So the best answer would be Okay, let me first hold on. The best answer would be C. C explains, overall crux of this thing. It gives you a bird's eye view. It talks about variety of reasons that could create this counterfactual alternatives, and also it's talking about that the childhood, the developmental process, which obviously involves childhood. So C is the best answer here. Now let's move on. Okay, here also we have a paragraph summary. We have a paragraph here, and we have to find the essence of the passage, the main idea, what the author is trying to say, as a summary, in short. Like, we don't have to obviously write the whole passage. We have to write a couple of lines that could explain the gist of this passage. So as we know what we have to do, let's get on with it. Manipulating information. Again, let me just get this marker here. Okay, so that I can mark the words here. Manipulating information was a feature of history long before modern journalism established rules of integrity. Integrity here means honesty. So, manipulating information. What is manipulating information? Basically, to make up information in your own way. It doesn't matter whether it's true or false. I mean, it's generally a mixture of true. Some things are true, some are not. So basically, manipulation. You handling this information according to your own wish, according to your own whims and fancies. अपने चाहत के हिसाब से अपने जैसा हम करना चाहते हैं वैसा मैं manipulate करूँ तो वो कहते हैं manipulating information. So manipulating information was a feature of history. That means it has been going on for a long time before modern journalism established rules of integrity. So modern journalism, obviously, they set certain rules that could make them more, that could give them the integrity, the honesty in their profession. They could be honest. They could put the right thing as information, which is true, or they could give you the right picture of a situation. A record dates back to ancient Rome when Antony met Cleopatra and his political enemy Octavian launched a smear campaign against him with short, sharp slogans written upon coins. Now, we are talking about history here. We are talking about Mark Antony. He was a general in Rome, Marcus Antonius, and then Cleopatra. Obviously, they had a relationship, and Cleopatra was the queen of Egypt. And their enemy, Octavian. Octavian was the first emperor of Roman Empire. He was later known as Augustus Caesar. So, actually, there was a rift between Mark Antony and Octavian. And Octavian basically launched a smear campaign. Now, smear here, is basically to slander somebody, किसी को बदनाम करना, किसी के बारे में गलत बोलना, जो सही नहीं है, अफवाहें उड़ाना, अफवाहें फैलाना और उसको बदनाम करना, उसकी बेइज्जती हो, ऐसा करने के लिए लोग smear campaign, you must have seen in politics, there are so many smear campaigns against so many leaders and politicians. So smear campaign is basically to tarnish, खराब करना किसी का image. तो image खराब करने के लिए ये campaign करते हैं, आज भी करते हैं. And as we are reading here, it used to happen way back in history in Rome, where Antony and Cleopatra and Octavian were involved, and Octavian launched a smear campaign against Mark Antony. And that was basically slogan. As you say, you see nowadays, there are slogans against somebody. So these slogans were written on a coin, right? Written upon coins, right? The perpetrator, the person who launched this, that means Octavian, this is a criminal or say somebody who's doing wrong, perpetrator, became the first Roman emperor, and fake news had allowed Octavian to hack the republican system once and for all. Now, the perpetrator, they are talking about Octavian, who launched the smear campaign. He became the first Roman emperor. And the fake news, as you see here, fake news, which was not true, that allowed him to take control of the republican system. He hacked into the republican system and to control. Hack, as you are aware, hacking is very common nowadays, right? You have hackers who get into the system and steal information. They are basically very smart people who know computing too well. So hack is to get into something. So here Octavian hacked the republican system once and for all. That means forever, hamesha ke liye. Once and for all means forever. That is done, hamesha ke liye. But the 21st century has seen the weaponization of information on an unprecedented scale. Unprecedented scale. Well, that's something you should know. Unprecedented is that something never happened before. Something that has come up now, it did not happen before. It's happening for the first time, unprecedented scale. That means on a large scale here, what it means. But the 21st century has seen the weaponization of information on an unprecedented scale. Weaponization of information. That means information has become weapons now. They are used to hurt somebody, to tarnish somebody's image, to basically deceive gullible folks, ordinary people, gullible जो easily किसी की बात मान के चल देते हैं. तो gullible folks जिनको बहुत आसानी से बेवकूफ बनाया जा सकता है. Gullible, that's what it means. So now information is being used as a weapon to hurt somebody, to tarnish somebody's image, and to basically deceive people. Powerful new technology makes the fabrication of content simple, and social networks amplify falsehood peddled by state, populist politicians, and dishonest corporate entities. So it's saying that technology has developed so much that now we can make up a content, fabricators to make up false things, Fabrication of content, simple. It is very simple to nowadays, with the help of technology, to make up something that is not right or that is harmful for somebody. And social networks amplify falsehood. Amplify is to make it bigger. Like for sound, you have amplifiers. So you make it bigger. Social networks amplify falsehood, that is wrong information, something that is wrong, peddled by states, supported by, this pushed forward by states, that is government, populist politicians. Populist, somebody who is populist means somebody who is not in the government and is basically trying to tell the people to support him because the government is not doing the right thing and, they are cheating, the government is cheating people, or the elite in the society, they are cheating people. So the politician who goes to the masses and explains this thing, like, okay, they are being cheated and they are being deceived, that's what populist politicians are. And dishonest corporate entities, dishonest, people who are not honest, they don't have integrity. Dishonest corporate entities, that is corporate, obviously the business class, all the companies, big companies who are dishonest, they also take part in this kind of thing. The platforms have become fertile ground for computational propaganda, trolling, and troll armies. So this platform, social network, has become a fertile ground, very prolific. Prolific means fertile. Fertile, that gives rise to more and more of this, false information. Fertile ground for computational propaganda. Propaganda is sajish, किसी के खिलाफ साजिश करना. So computational, with the use of computer, you have created something against a person or against a group. Trolling, obviously insulting somebody, like nowadays you troll people on the internet, where you insult the person by typing some vulgar message or bad message. Trolling and troll armies, and now you have troll armies that do the thing. There are group of people. They are paid to troll certain groups or certain person. So this is the passage. Now we have 4 summaries here. A, disinformation, that is obviously information that is not true, which is mediated by technology, that is supported by technology. Mediated means to be in the middle and basically connect. Madhyast, jo kehte hain na, madhyastha karna. Is not new and has existed since ancient times. That's one of the summary. People need to become critical of what they read, since historically weaponization of information has led to corruption. Well, this is a little off, because it's obviously they are talking about what people should do or what they need to do. So obviously this will not be there. Use of misinformation for attaining power, a practice that is as old as Octavian era, is currently fueled by technology. This provides a true crux of this thing, because it's talking about misinformation. It's about attaining power, as you say, about populist politicians and governments and how they work in tandem together, साथ में. So use of misinformation for attaining power, a practice that is as old as Octavian era. They're talking about Mark Antony, Cleopatra, and Octavian era, is currently fueled by technology. Now they are basically covering the past, and they are covering what's happening now, the present. So this is quite viable. This is very suitable as a summary. Let's see the last one. Octavian used fake news to manipulate people and attain power and influence, just as people do today. But this does not explain the whole thing about technology or anything like that. It's talking about what Octavian did with the fake news. So the best answer would be C, this one here. C would be the best answer, because it covers the whole schmeal here, the whole thing. It gives you what misinformation does. Basically, to attain, they are being used for attaining power, slandering people, or doing bad things to people. A practice as old as Octavian is talking about the past, and then it's talking about is currently fueled by technology, which is happening now, and there's a role of technology in this whole thing, right? So C is the right answer. Now again, we will move on. Okay. Now in this section, we have say a sentence that is missing in the paragraph. There's a sentence here that is missing in the paragraph. Let me read the instruction. There is a sentence that is missing in the paragraph below. Look at the paragraph and decide where option 1, 2, 3, or 4 the following sentence would best fit. Now, obviously, this is a paragraph, but this sentence here, that's stated here, has to go in somewhere, and we have 4 options that we can include this sentence into this paragraph to make it lucid. Right? So let's read the sentence. This philosophical cut at one's core beliefs, values, and the way of life is difficult enough. So they are talking about philosophical cut. I'll explain it later on once we read the paragraph. It's talking about some philosophy, some idea, some thinking, some bent of mind. Philosophical cut at one's core beliefs, core, at heart, that you really believe in. Core beliefs, values, and way of life is difficult enough, right? Mark the word here. Okay. Let's see. Difficult enough. We'll get to that in more detail. Paragraph. The experience of reading philosophy is often disquieting. Disquieting, that means it affects you, invigorates you. Sometimes your thought process changes, or when you read philosophy, sometimes you are so much into it that you basically negate everything. बाकी चीजें गलत हैं, ये philosophy ही सही है, ऐसा situation हो जाता है. So that's what it's talking. The experience of reading philosophy is often disquieting. वो विचलित कर देगा अंदर से. You are troubled after reading the philosophy because probably you have different values and different beliefs. When reading philosophy, the values around which one has heretofore organized one's life may come to look provincial, flatly wrong, or even evil. So when you read philosophy, what happens sometimes? What your values are, what your beliefs are, they are rendered useless by that philosophy. मतलब वो philosophy कहता है कि जो आप सोचते हैं, जो आपका belief है, जो आपका way of life है, वो valid नहीं है, वो अच्छा नहीं है, वो सही नहीं है. क्योंकि philosophy has different ideas. They have ideas of their own. Your ideas are not valid. They are not right. So, okay. Provincial. They say your ideas may come to look provincial. Provincial is like a province, like one corner. Some people believe in this. That's not important. That's not everybody. Everybody does not believe in those ideas. So it's basically you are ostracized. You are in one corner and you believe that is not true. That is false. And that is not up to the mark. And obviously it's against this philosophy. Flatly wrong. It could be wrong. They say, okay, no, whatever you think is wrong. गलत है, आपकी सोच बिल्कुल गलत है. ये फिलॉसफी के खिलाफ है, इसलिए गलत है. और even evil, that means bad. वो कह सकते हैं बुरा है आपका फिलॉसफी. आप जो सोचते हैं, आपकी बिलीफ्स, आपका जो थिंकिंग है, वो सही नहीं, बुरा है. It's evil. So we have one option here. We can put this here or not. When beliefs previously held as truths are rendered implausible, that means they are not effective anymore. They are, not good enough. The new beliefs, values, and ways of living may be required. So if whatever you're thinking or what your beliefs are or your values are, a way of life, if that's rendered useless, मतलब वो बेकार है, तो obviously you'll need नया belief, नया values, and नया way of life. So that's what's saying. So it's basically changing the thought process. It's changing your personalities, changing your, whatever you held close to your heart that was dear to you. Then there's this option that we could put to here, the philosophical cut is one's core belief, values, and way of life is just difficult enough. Let's go on and then we'll decide. What's worse? Philosophers admonish each other to remain unsutured until such time as defensible new answer is revealed new answers revealed or constructed. So, admonish, to warn, basically philosophers tell each other, that they warn each other that you have to be unsutured, basically open to things, and basically until you have certain, you construct certain basis for this philosophy and some defense, right? So from some defense, some defensible new answer, basically. So some defense, obviously. The answer that defends the philosophy is revealed or constructed. So unless until they just admonish each other. Admonish means warn each other. Sometimes philosophical writing is even strictly critical in that it does not even attempt to provide an alternative after tearing down a cultural or conceptual citadel. So basically, it's what they do is certain philosophies, they are tearing down, they are breaking down your thought process and your values and beliefs, but they are not providing basically an alternative, not even attempt to provide an alternative. Sometimes philosophies do that, and those writings basically tell you that, okay, your idea is not good, but what could be the alternative? They do not provide that. And here, as we see, citadel. Citadel is the word where, like in a place, the safest spot in a fortress, higher ground, that is the citadel. So basically, whatever you believed, whatever your higher ground was, they tore that down, your cultural beliefs and values, and they did not even provide you with an alternative. So this is here. The reader of the philosophy must be prepared for the possibility of this experience. That means you should be prepared that this will alter your thought process. It will change things for you, and it'll make you think differently. While reading philosophy can help one clarify one's values and even make one self-conscious for the first time of the fact that there are good reasons for believing what one believes, it can also generate unremediated doubt that is difficult to live with. So what it's saying that, well, reading philosophy can also strengthen your views. You say like, okay, what I believe in, it's the best thing. My beliefs are right. My values are true. I hold them very close, and I should hold them very close. I should cling to them. But sometimes they break you down so much that you basically you are aggravated, you are affected. असर पड़ता है, आप अंदर से अच्छा फील नहीं करते हो, जिसका कोई इलाज नहीं है. अनरेमिडिएटेड डाउट, तो शंका एक आ जाती है कि जिसका कि कोई सोल्यूशन नहीं है कि अब क्या करें, हमारा फिलॉसफी ठीक नहीं है तो आगे कैसे चलें. So this is what the passage is all about. Now, the philosophical cut at one's core beliefs, values, and way of life is difficult enough. When it's talking about a philosophical cut and difficult enough, that means when you say enough, that means there is more to it. There's something in addition to it that has to be described. Like you say, okay, say the heat, right, was making our lives difficult enough in summer, but then lack of rain, it made it worse. The worst thing was that there was no rain. So here in 2, you see a philosophical cut at one's core belief, value, and way of life is difficult enough. What's worse? So it's also adding to it and saying, philosophers admonish each other to remain unsutured, unattached, that is, until such time as a defensible new answer is revealed or constructed. So it's saying that, okay, cut was obviously difficult enough, but then there's obviously no remedy to it, and obviously you are not finding a solution to the problem. So the best thing would be, here we have 4 options: A option 1, B option 3, C option 2, D option 4. This is option 2. Now here's the trick. You cannot just go and tick B. That will be option 3. That's the second alternative here. We have C, that is option 2. So basically, if you read the structure of the sentence, you can find the answer easily. So this brings us to the end of this session. I wish you all the best, and thanks for watching. Have a great day.